So excited that my basil is happily growing in my very own compost. I made this compost, I started it last year, and I used all of my vegetable cuttings and fruits and things like that, and then yard scraps, grass cuttings, and I just layered those all. The only animal product that I put in there is my eggshells. I do put all my eggshells in there, and I'm going to tell you, I'll show you my compost in the back and tell you that absolutely no bad smell whatsoever. Now, while it's composting, there will be bugs and things flying around it and bugs in it because obviously they facilitate the process. But no sourness or weird smells. Now, I, of course, put a lot of probiotic residue in there as well. So, you know, from the kraut that I make, there's a lot of cabbage, and the cabbage and all that. That all facilitates the healthy bacteria in the soil, which help break it down. So that may make a difference. I put all of my coffee grounds and tea grounds in there because I use all loose leaf in that regard. But the bottom line is I'm just amazed by it. It was full of earthworms, and it's really helping my plants. I've put it on several of my plants, and I'm just really excited about how easy it is. I'll tell you about it when I go back there. I think I planted chicory in this pot, and we know that that has great herbal uses, and I'm really excited to add that to my garden this year. It is a perennial, and it has sprouted nicely, and they're getting ready to grow. Yay. Also, here are my apple trees. This one got broken last year, got broken completely off, and we didn't know if it would live. And then it had to start from a nub again and grow up, and it did a fine job growing this year. And this one did not break, and it has little apples. Let's see the best view I can get of that. So, yay, we're gonna have apples! I'm so excited. Another cool thing that happened is I went down in my basement and found all of my amaranth that I had harvested and put into paper bags, and I hung it from the ceiling in my basement. Well, I wanted to see if the seeds were viable, and I had so many of them, and I didn't really want to thrash it out and do the seed thing this year, just because I wanted to make sure they're viable and see how they turned out, and then we'll grow some more this year. It grew so beautifully because it gets really, really tall. Like some of them were about, I don't know, 8 or 9 feet tall, and it's this was a beautiful, beautiful flower on top of the amaranth. So it looked like a fairy garden when they grew up. And this year I want to have a lot of them. And you can eat the leaves as well in salads or saute them. So they're a great addition in that way to food. So that's the part that I like to eat because I don't really eat the grains or pseudo grains. But anyway, the seeds are viable. That's the bottom line. I just threw all this out in the garden, and here we go. I don't know if you can see those little purple plants. Those are amaranth. And here is here are a lot more amaranth plants. If I had known, I mean, these are obviously too close together, but I had so many, and I just kind of shook them, and they just went where they went, and apparently these all went here. So I'm just going to let them, you know, do what they do and see what happens. I'm sure a few of the stronger ones will take over. That's what happens in nature. So we'll just let that happen, because transplanting these, I don't believe is going to be possible. They're so close together. But I can thin them out as they start getting bigger, and I see which ones are stronger. I hate to do that, but the ground, I mean, these are in the ground, so they're in a hard ground with a lot of clay in it, so we're just gonna have to let it roll, but we're gonna have plenty of amaranth otherwise. I'm getting the hang of protecting my plants from critters and such with this netting and all, and so I planted some seedlings in this bucket, and this is my spinach, and I'm not sure what else. Of course, something little has decided to eat on the, I don't know if that's broccoli, or it could be any number of things. We got to wait for the true leaves to come out before we can tell on those cotyledons there. But I know the other is spinach. My blackberries look awesome. I think I'm going to put some of my compost on them today, but beautiful flowers, and they're doing great. And my raspberries, they went wild this year. I've got about 30 raspberry plants, and I started with one, and they just propagated themselves. Got some radishes, turnips, cabbage, kale, parsley, and there's one of my sunflowers, some fava bean plants back there. The strawberries are happy as clams, and they're going wild with lots and lots and lots of blossoms. Lots of blossoms and lots of berries. I'll show you some of these that have not even been, you can see all those berries. I mean all those flowers, but I'll show you where some of the berries have formed. Oh, if I can, well, you can see those. You can see those down there, but there are just so many. So many. Oh yeah, you can see those. See those berries. There's my thyme and my garden sage. Thankfully, the beets in this bed survived the attack of the critter. It was the other bed that they got, so thankfully I had a backup plan. These seedlings were younger, so I've got some there, and I've got some more started. Here are my winter vegetables. Still doing great, but they've all gone to flower, and the flowers taste delicious. I'm trying to harvest as I need them to just enjoy the last of their fruits. And these purple cabbage were doing awesome yesterday, but I had the top on them to make sure no critters got them. Well, I didn't think about the fact that it got really hot yesterday, so they got heat stroke, poor little things. But it looks like some of them survived, and maybe the others will revive now that I've taken them out of the, no, they have really been damaged. But oh well, live and learn. I'll know better now. And there's my spinach. Same thing happened, but I've got plenty of backup spinach. I've learned to plant a lot that way. When I make mistakes, I still have something that will work. So apparently the most hardy ones lived on, and that'll be plenty of cabbage between that and what I already have. And this is either a red or a crimson clover, and it's cool the way it grows differently. It grows taller and looks different. The leaves are shaped differently. These are some sweet peas, and I don't know if they're gonna live in this heat or not, but right now they're doing fine, so we're just letting them go. Lots of little things growing here. So some radish and what else? Various things, various seedlings you can see there coming up. Honestly, I did a lot of random planting, and I just kind of wait to see what they are and then put them where they need to go as they get strong. That is some cilantro coming back from last year. It survived, yay, it survived all those freezes, so I was pretty impressed with that. My wild mustard went crazy this year. I mean, it just did so well, and it tastes nice and spicy. It's handy to have in a salad or wherever. I've got some things that I'm not sure about. I think that's a sweet potato that came back from last year. We'll see. I could be wrong on that. I'm gonna wait and see. And my compost was here, and I dumped it all out of the big container because I decided I'd rather just compost on the ground because it works just fine. And this is my compost dirt that I took out of there. It's just, like I said, I mean, this is not yucky. It doesn't smell. I mean, obviously it looks yucky, but it's just amazing, happy dirt. And I'm gonna see if we can find some earthworms in there. There we go. Doesn't take much to find lots of happy earthworms in that dirt. I mean, they are just working overtime, and I'm so proud of them for making dirt for me. It was so exciting. I've got lots of it all around, and I'll use that to amend my soil in the garden more. And so what I do is I put down my kitchen scraps, and then each time I put down a significant amount of kitchen scraps, you know, a couple of weeks worth or whatever, then I'll put grass clippings from mowing on top of that because the layers is what works. I don't turn my piles. I mean, I might if I think about it every now and then, but pretty much I just let it sit there, and it did great, and it made dirt. I mean, you know, sometimes they make things so complicated, and I just said, well, I'm going to try it the best I can, but I'm not going to fret over it. And the dirt turned out amazing. But I want to show you one more thing, and then I'll be done. Well, I said one more thing, but I figure just show you everything while I'm at it, or almost everything. I've got lots of onions in here, and they're doing fine. This is all of my asparagus, and it's doing very well. I amended the soil there, gave them some fish emulsion and such, and they're still getting stronger. I've been able to harvest quite a bit from them this year, but I'm also letting some of their stalks grow up so that they can still become stronger because they're still young. They're only 3 years old this year. My blueberry plant, I pruned it this year, and the pruning served me well because this thing is covered with blueberries. Just covered. I mean, just lots and lots and lots of blueberries that are developing. And then I've got my baby blueberry plant, and it has a significant number of berries on it as well, developing berries. My pear trees are doing super well. Difficult to see them in the sun the way it is now. These are my muscadines, and they have taken off this season. I planted them with a little twig last year, so they seem to be finding their way up the fence. These are my amaranth, and I don't know, maybe that looks like some true leaves have come out that look a bit like mustard, so those must be mustard. And so I'm gonna have plenty of amaranth this year. think I planted some random things here, some squash, cucumbers and such, and it's getting ready to grow. This is my peppermint. It's doing awesome. It's just going wild. Got some chard that came up from last year, so I'm super happy about that. Trying to protect it from whatever might want to eat it, and it's doing well. Here's a view of my meadow. Not exactly a yard anymore because I have let it grow and I'm not mowing it. Oh, so I wanted to show you as far as composting. This is a big pile I had of wood chips, but it was wood chips mixed with green because I had some trees pruned and they have a grinder that grinds all the tree limbs. So as freshly pruned limbs with the leaves and everything on there, they ground them up, and I just had them dump it in a big pile in my yard, and that was in the fall. And I just want to show you what has happened. And same thing, I did not bother with this. I didn't stir it, do any of that stuff. And you can see how rich it has become. It was steaming for a while, and then but down here, the bottom, this was put on just under this tree. There was grass and such, but this is what has produced at the bottom. This was not dirt that was already here. This was put on a grassy area, and this is just beautiful dirt. So I've been using these wood chips as a mulch compost blend, and I just put it on top of my plants, and it's like a continuous feed kind of natural fertilizer, and it continues to decompose and make some excellent nutrition available to the plants. I'm sure that it will help this magnolia tree out, which is one of the tallest magnolia trees I've ever seen anyway. And anyway, so I've got a nice big pile of yummy, delicious plant nutrition. So I haven't had to spend much at the store. All I bought was a thing of fish emulsion and a few bags of black cow, and just used those around for things as well. But I'm trying to get a hookup for some direct access to some manure. That way I won't have to buy anything, hopefully, except fish emulsion, which I don't care to make on my own because it's relatively inexpensive. You buy a bottle of it and it's concentrated, and the plants really, really love it, and you can pour it right on the plants and on the leaves, and it doesn't burn, and they really thrive with it, so it's a good option. This is some ornamental sage that I had planted last year, and it came back from the winter. And then I believe this is called a bearded crowfoot, and the leaves of that are edible. I think the flowers too, but I can't remember for sure. I need to look that up again. And this, you can see the difference in this mint. I fed some fish emulsion to this mint, and it's the same kind of mint, and the leaves are huge, probably twice the size of those other mint leaves. Lots of perennial flowers peeking out from various places. I've got some yarrow that is up here in my front garden, and lots of lovely herbs. I can't remember what this is, but it is an herb. There's some more flowers coming up. And finally, the grand finale, is my fig tree. I planted this last year and gave it some mulch from that pile that is composting, and also some fish emulsion. Let's see if we have any little figs developing. Okay, it's still really just getting started on its growth this year. It does not have any figs yet, but I'll keep you posted. Last year we did get a couple of figs, and this year I know a lot more about trying to take care of it, so it's getting some more nutrition this year. All right, that's it, guys and girls. Sorry it was so long, but one thing led to another. Have a great day.